Hi, I'm Vanessa, Canopy's environmental educator. This video is for the lesson Tree to Table. I want you to start by imagining your favorite food. Have you got it? Maybe it's something on the sweeter side, or maybe it's something that's spicy or even tangy. Whether your favorite food is spaghetti with tomato sauce or chili soup, one thing that it has in common is that one of the reasons it tastes so great is because of the herbs and spices it has. In fact, I would be willing to bet that if you took out all of the herbs and spices from your favorite food, it would taste almost unrecognizable. So what are herbs and spices? Well, herbs and spices are parts of plants that we use, either dried or fresh, to add flavor to our food and make it taste better. Now you might be wondering, if herbs and spices are both parts of plants, we can use them both dried or fresh, and we put both of them into our foods, then why do we have different names for them? That is a great question, and it has a pretty simple answer. Herbs come from the leaves of plants, and spices come from all other plant parts. You might have some herbs and spices in your home. I like to cook, so I definitely do in mine. An example of an herb that I have is oregano. You can see as I rotate the bottle, the green color. As we said, herbs come from leaves, and leaves are usually green, so it makes sense that oregano would have this greenish color. An example of a spice that I have is turmeric. You can see as I rotate the bottle, it has a much different color. It does not come from a leaf, it comes from a root, and it has this kind of orange color. Can you name any herbs or spices that you know? Some common ones are things like pepper, cinnamon, chili, cilantro, and parsley. Some come from small plants. In fact, I have a cilantro plant right here. And some come from much bigger plants, even trees. The herbs and spices that come from trees are what we're going to focus on in this lesson today. Before we begin, gather all the materials that you will need for the lesson and make sure you have a flat surface to work on. The materials you're going to need for the lesson are your activity pages, a pencil, a pair of scissors, and some glue. If you don't have the activity pages, you can do this lesson using just a notebook and a pencil. Pause the video here until you've gathered all of your materials. Okay, now that you have your materials, let's begin. If you're using printed copies, find the page that's called Tree Parts 1 and the page that has herb and spice cards on it. They look like this. If you are not using printed copies, pause the video here and copy the Tree Parts 1 page in your notebook with a list below it of all of the herb and spice names from the cards. If you have copies, lay the Tree Parts 1 page on a flat surface and cut out all of the herb and spice cards along the dotted lines. Glue them under the tree part to which you think they belong. Look for visual clues from the photos on the cards to help you decide. It's okay if you aren't sure. Take a guess. Pause the video here until you have all of your herb and spice cards cut out and glued on the Tree Parts 1 page. You should have all of your herb and spice cards glued, and your page should look something like this. These are all in the wrong order, by the way, so no need to pause the video to sneak a peek. Now, if you were a scientist, you would have to defend your decisions based on evidence. So that is what you're going to do now. Find the page entitled Tree Parts 2. It looks like this. If you're not using printed copies, pause the video here and copy the Tree Parts 2 page in your notebook. In the first row, under the header, "Why do you think that?" describe how what you noticed about the texture, shapes, and colors of the herbs and spices helped you make your decisions about what tree parts they came from. With an adult's permission, you can even explore the kitchen cabinets to see if you have any of these herbs and spices that you can investigate in person. Pause this video until you have filled out the first row on the Tree Parts 2 page. You should have the first row on Tree Parts 2 completed. Now we're going to fill out the next row. We know that herbs and spices are delicious for us, But what role do they play for the trees? Each part of a tree serves a specific function for the tree. Some parts help the tree stay strong, some help it make food, and others help it reproduce. Using what you know about trees and the observations you have made about the herbs and spices on your cards, fill in the next row on Tree Parts 2 with what function or functions you think that the listed tree part serves for the tree. Use the categories on the page: survival, defense, growth, reproduction, and stability, and explain why you chose them. An example for a category not on here, seeds, would be seeds help with reproduction because they grow into new trees. Pause this video here until you have filled out the last row on the Tree Parts 2 page. You should have both rows on the Tree Parts 2 page completed. Congratulations! You have organized your Urban Spice cards by tree parts, defended your decisions, and identified the functions of tree parts for the trees. Are you hungry yet? If not, you will be after this next part. Find the page entitled Mealtime. It looks like this. What you see on this page are photos and ingredient lists for delicious foods and drinks. Each ingredient list has a certain number of herbs and spices that come from trees. But there's a trick. The list also contains other food items that come from trees. Not only do trees give us herb and spices, they also give us things like peaches, avocados, and lemons. Each ingredient list tells you how many food items from trees you should be searching for in parentheses by the title. So, for example, spaghetti with tomato sauce has 2 items to find, while chicken curry has 6. Pause this video here until you have circled all 18 items that come from trees. If you aren't sure, you can ask an adult at home or look online if you can. Otherwise, take your best guess. Pause here and good luck. You should have circled 18 items on the mealtime page that come from trees. Trees are amazing and give us many things that we use in our lives. Not only do they give us things that we eat, but we also use wood from trees to make things like the desks we write on, the beds we sleep in, and the violins that we play. We make paper out of trees, and we can even use some tree parts to make natural dyes to change the color of clothes and fabrics that we have. There are so many benefits to trees. But not every tree can grow in every place in the world. Some trees prefer hot and wet areas, whereas other trees prefer cooler and drier areas. We use the word weather to describe how hot or cold, rainy or dry, cloudy or clear places at any given time. Right now, the weather is pretty sunny and a little bit warm where I'm at. We use the word climate to describe weather patterns that repeat over and over year after year. On the mealtime page or in your notebooks, answer the following questions. 1, what is the weather like today where you are? And 2, what is the climate like where you live? Pause this video here until you have written answers to both questions. That was the last activity of this lesson. Thank you so much for joining me in this exploration of the wonderful world of trees and the herbs and spices that we get from them. If you want a little bit more of trees, why not go on a walk and explore the ones that are in your neighborhood? If you're lucky, you might just see some of the ones that we learned about in this lesson. The California bay laurel, the Peruvian peppercorn, and juniper trees all grow in California. Good luck and keep exploring.